Greetings. Now, I'm willing to wager most of you out there have heard of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which is, of course, arguably the single most successful cartoon of the 80s, rivaled only perhaps by the Transformers. What you may not know is a lot of the concepts that were later done in He-Man appeared earlier, about a year or two earlier, in another show by the same producers, namely Blackstar. So rather than talk about He-Man, which everybody and their dog has talked about in one form or another, I thought I'd talk about Blackstar, because nobody ever talks about Blackstar. I actually like Blackstar better than He-Man. What do you think of them apples? So let's talk about it today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Hey! Now, to say that He-Man was inspired by Blackstar isn't entirely accurate, but what is entirely accurate to say is that a lot of things that He-Man later perfected were originally tried out in Blackstar. For example, this is one of the first real sort of action-adventure cartoons that Filmation did, and it's very much in a fantasy setting and stuff like that. So, fans of He-Man, if you were to go and watch Blackstar, you would notice a lot of familiar territory, a lot of familiar elements. For example, notice that he's riding a big dragon. First off, this dragon character, whose name is Warlock. This is John Blackstar, the main character, and this is Warlock, which is his dragon friend that he rides around and who helps him out. This character, this dragon character, actually appeared in He-Man. The only difference was it was pink instead of the much more boss green, and had a different kind of monster sound than he does in Blackstar. Blackstar, he sounds way more manly. He sounded like a bit of a wuss in He-Man. But anyway, also he was a villain in He-Man. In this one, he's very much a good guy. Anyway, the story of Blackstar basically concerns an astronaut who gets sucked into a black hole, and he finds himself in this far-flung fantasy world called Sagar. And he meets up with the Trobbits, who are obvious Hobbit ripoffs / Seven Dwarves ripoffs. He has two friends, Clone, who can change shape into any manner of different creatures, and Mara, who is a sorceress. And yeah, there she is doing some of her sorcery. And they are fighting to liberate Sagar from the evil Overlord. He doesn't have any other name, he's just the Overlord. And Blackstar also wields this sword called the Star Sword. Originally, the Star Sword is one half of the Power Star. The Overlord has the other half. So there's the Star Sword and the Power Sword, or the Power Sword. So the Overlord is trying to get Blackstar's half of the Power Star so he can reunite it, which apparently will make him ridiculously powerful and able to fully take over planet Sagar. And that's generally the gist of it. So the action and adventure is mighty and profound. It carries on with that premise through much of the episodes. And yeah, but why don't you not take my word for it and just take a look at the opening title sequence. This is a typical Filmation opening title sequence, over the top, action adventure, up the wazoo. Check it out. Here is Blackstar.
John Blackstar, astronaut. Is swept through a black hole into an ancient alien universe. Trapped on the planet Sagar, Blackstar is rescued by the tiny Trobbit people. In turn, he joins their fight for freedom against the cruel Overlord. Who rules by the might of the Power Star. The Power Star is split into the Power Sword and the Star Sword. And so, with Star Sword in hand, Blackstar, together with his allies, sets out to save the planet Sagar. This is his destiny. I am John Blackstar.
So I used to watch this show all the time when it was originally on, which would have made me about 9 years old. And I happened across, there was some VHS releases in the early 80s, and I happened to find them at a fire sale at a local video store and picked them up. And they had, it didn't last, like the series isn't very long, it's only 13 episodes. So the VHS releases contained 3 episodes apiece. There was 3 volumes, so there was 9 of the 13 episodes. So for a long time, fans of the show were looking for the other 4 episodes, the 4 lost episodes. I remember putting out a call on a videotape trading group one time asking if anybody had the other 4 episodes, and I got an email back from a guy who said he did have them, and he'd be willing to sell them to me for $50. $50 to get a single VHS tape of 4 episodes of a cartoon. Yeah, I wanted them, but I didn't want them that badly. So I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and good old BCI came along. BCI, video release company who's been making a lot of waves over the past few years for their excellent releases of the Filmation cartoon library, of course starting with He-Man and then digging deep into the back catalog and releasing a lot of really obscure shows. And I was just overjoyed when I heard that Blackstar was one of the ones that they were going to release. So I thought, finally! First off, I can have way better quality than the VHS tapes I've had over the years. And second off, I can finally see those elusive 4 missing episodes. So I was really happy when they finally put it out. So let's take a quick look at the packaging. It's not really spectacular packaging-wise, but I think it's kind of nice. It serves the purpose, and it looks nice on the shelf. So let's take a look at the packaging for Blackstar, the complete series. Ooh. Okay, so with Blackstar, we have pretty straightforward packaging. It's very nice. It's actually a combination matte finish and glossy finish. So it has glossy on the characters and the logo, and then matte finish for the backgrounds, which is quite nice. Maybe you can see a little bit of that in the shininess there. So that's quite nice. And then logo on the side, which is quite good. Fits in nicely with the other Filmation sets. And then on the back, we got some more of the characters and a list of special features. There's actually some really good special features on this. You got a couple of commentaries and a documentary that gives you the history of Filmation. So yeah, so this basically it's just a standard slipcase. It just slides out like that, and you're good to go. And then it has the logo on the side there again as well. It's quite nice. So then inside you basically just got the standard 2-disc thick case, or sorry, 3 discs, 2 discs, 2 discs, yes. So they did it like this, 2 discs, one of them on a flip out thing, and then inside you've actually got a booklet, which is all about, this here is just a pamphlet of other titles. Looks like all anime titles available from Funimation, which I guess is a division of BCI. So inside you've got detailed synopses of each episode, and it also contains little bits of trivia, behind the scenes stuff. There's a couple episodes, yeah, the second and final episodes have commentaries on them. With Lou Scheimer and some key production staff. As always, very informative commentary. BCI, or Ink and Paint, as they later changed their animation division to, really does a great job on the Filmation sets, and pretty much any one of them you pick up, you can be guaranteed to have some really meaty special features. This one, I mean, even if you're not a fan of Blackstar, it's almost worth getting just for the Magic of Filmation documentary, which is all about the history of Filmation. And it's really, really fascinating stuff. But yeah, so there you go. Pretty basic packaging, but looks nice on the shelf and goes well with your other Filmation stuff. If you got maybe the He-Man sets or Flash Gordon, things like that. Great set. And if you're a fan of He-Man, I definitely recommend picking this up because it complements it nicely for the for the reasons that I talked about before. So there you go. I mean, the packaging is nothing to write home about, but it serves the purpose. And as I say, it looks nice on your shelf. But, I mean, it's great that there's so many extras on here, especially for such an obscure show. I was really surprised to see, like, the complete history of Filmation on Blackstar, of all things. Now, in the history of the company, I guess it is pretty significant in that a lot of the animation techniques that they used in later productions, they basically started using on Blackstar, like a lot of the rotoscoping and stock footage and stuff to cut corners and save money. They really started doing on Blackstar. So it's interesting, I guess, historically in the history of Filmation. But yeah, I mean, it's totally worth getting. I mean, especially if you're a He-Man fan and or a Filmation fan, because this is definitely a notable series in the history of the company that you don't hear about very often. There's another thing I wanted to mention. There's a great website out there called the Blackstar Parody Site, and I don't have the link on hand. I'll see if I can find it and add it to the description. But basically, the Blackstar Parody Site is where it's obviously made by, diehard fans of the show who really, hold it in high regard and with affection and nostalgia. But basically, it contains an episode guide to the show, and they sort of MST3K it. Now, if you don't know what MST3King something means, look up MST3K on the internet, and you'll find out pretty darn quick. And if you don't know, you should turn in your nerd card right now, because shame on you. Anyway, it's absolutely hilarious, because what I highly recommend is get the DVD set and load up the parody site, and then as you watch the episodes, pause between each episode and read the corresponding entry for that episode on the parody site, because it is just hilarious how they cut up those episodes. Like, some of the things they say are just so freaking funny. So anyway, yeah, Blackstar, the complete series. Is it worth it? Definitely. I don't talk about stuff if I don't think it's worth it, right? You pretty much know if I'm doing a review about something, I'm going to end it by saying, yes, it's worth it. Not to mention the fact it's only a 13-episode set, and you should be able to find it pretty cheap. So, there you go. And that about does it. So that's it from me to you for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara.
This is his destiny. I am John Blackstar.